Day 5: Power and Resistance.
Trauma, Identity, and Survival in Holocaust Literature. It is truly an honor to welcome our distinguished guest and resource person, Dr. Annie Wimla D., who has enriched our understanding of trauma, identity, and the Holocaust through her profound and extensive insights. We eagerly look forward to further exploring these themes under her expert guidance in today's session. I also extend a warm welcome to our esteemed professors, distinguished guests from other institutions, participants, and friends. To briefly recap yesterday's session, Dr. Annie elaborated on the devastating effects of dehumanization, a process that deprives individuals of their dignity, honor, and reduces them to a subhuman status. The three concepts you mentioned, authorization, routinization, and how they result in dehumanization. During the Nazi regime, dehumanization was used to justify the systematic persecution of Jews who were portrayed as vermin or a dangerous other. This erasure of humanity allowed for horrific atrocities, including the mass murders in concentration camps, to be committed without moral objection. Dr. Annie emphasized the critical need to understand and confront dehumanization in all its forms to prevent future injustices. We now eagerly await today's session and the insights it will bring. Without further delay, I invite Dr. Annie Ma'am to continue her presentation. Please, ma'am.
Annie, ma'am, yesterday you talked about three concepts: authorization, routinization, and dehumanization. Really, it made me to think. From yesterday, I'm just thinking about this thing. The moment anybody has got any kind of authority, how cruelly they are going to use that thing, how they are creating problem for others. It was a really very wonderful concept that you discussed yesterday. So before we begin today's session formally, so it's a humble request to all the participants, kindly turn on your videos so that we can have a group photo.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. We will, without delay, we will get into our session today. So, enduring scars, trauma, identity, and survival in Holocaust literature. We are looking into day 5 today. But I thought we will add resistance and resilience so that, you understand both simultaneously. Earlier, I thought we could have resistance one day and then resilience the other day. Relate both because both have similar ideas, and both I believe I will be using the same instances, same examples. So I thought we could use both together. Yes, thank you. So today we will see how power works. I believe earlier when we were talking about CK, power and punishment, the discipline and punishment, we discussed much on power. But today again we will see how power works in any place. Okay, how power works, and we will see um, 3 to 4 memoirs. See, earlier when I was discussing about dehumanization or the virtual trip or the other day, whatever we have seen, everything was from the memoirs that I studied so far. None of that is from, from the history or from any, internet sources. Everything is from the memoirs. But probably you think that I'm telling you stories because you didn't happen to see the memoirs. I was saving the memoirs for these 2 days because all of that, uh, what happened inside the concentration camp, the dehumanization and the identity eraser, it was common. It was very common for all the, for all the prisoners. But here only the difference comes. Did everybody resist? No, only a few resisted. Did everybody was so resilient against what was happening? No, it was only again a few people. So that we will see in this session. So that we will see in this session. So we will start with how power works. Then we will move on to the memoirs, the two to four memoirs I have today, which we will be discussing for today's class and also for tomorrow's class. We will also see what resistance is and how resistance works inside the camp with resilience. And we have few theorists. We will also see the theorists. Okay. Um, Maybe because I'm not adding much words on my PPT, you may think that you're missing out the memoirs, the literature part or the critical part of it, but you should at least try and take photographs, or in the end, I'll be sending you the whole PPT. If you take the PPT, you have a lot of theories inside the slides that we have so far. Earlier, we had theories on identity theories. We saw a lot of theorists, and yesterday, a lot of dehumanization theory we saw. Today, we will see some theories on resistance, some that are very relevant to Holocaust, and resilience also, some that is very relevant to uh, Holocaust. So, how power works? So, this idea I took, the first idea is from Foucault. So, Foucault says power gives you domination. When you have power and when you can dominate somebody, then automatically you punish. You are capable of punishing people. And when you punish, only then fear comes. When I am afraid of the punishment, when I am afraid of the punishment and the pain, when the fear is within me, at that point, what happens? I submit. So you understand how power works. It is not a simple process. You get my point? So power is not an easy idea. It has a long process.
Yes,
That is
ma'am.
number one from Foucault. Why I am using Foucault is because Foucault is someone who forms the base if you go for anything. And what happens inside Holocaust, as I was telling you earlier, abuse of power was legalized. So the below you have two ideas: banality of evil and joyousness. These two are related to Holocaust, which I don't think you see much ideas being propagated in other uh, papers. They are still in the flourishing part. Not much people worked on this. Only I have worked on both of these in my thesis. Banality of evil is from Anna Ardent, where she says, now um, imagine a teaching scenario, okay? Um, I am the headmaster of the school, and I have 10 teachers with me and 200 students with me. Okay, it's a very small school. What happens? The students get a bit late, bit lazy. So I'm asking my teacher to punish my students. So I asked 10 of my teachers to punish, to beat the children who scored uh, less than pass mark. Say if you are scored 32 for out of 100 for mathematics, then I want this teacher to beat you before giving the paper. This is the rule. Now, what happens when I give this as a rule? Probably I am a sweet person, but then my boss is asking me to beat my children. I have no other go, I have to beat you. That is how things started inside the camp. This is the idea from Anna Hardin. She says, all the Nazis were so cruel inside the camp. They are not cruel because they are cruel by nature. They are cruel inside the camp because that was expected from the bosses. That was being expected from the higher officials. I want a promotion, and I'll be given promotion only when I am very strict with the Jews. Then I have to be very strict. I get my promotion when I can, oh, when I keep beating the children. Then that is what I'm supposed to do. I do things for my promotion. That is all. This simple ideology is called banality of evil. The evil part of the crime, the evil part of the dehumanization, the evil part of the suffering is removed because it is just a work. Like you sign a paper, I signed the paper to kill the Jews. This is the exact answer from many of the Jewish people when when they were taken for the Nuremberg trial. See, after liberation, many of the Nazis, including Hitler, few committed suicide, few ran away, but there were few who came for the trial. And when they were questioned, why did you do so much horrible things also? Why are you so cruel to these people inside the camp? They just said, simply they answered, I was carrying out my orders. It was very simple as that for them. Only in the later part of time, when Anna Hardent was writing, she says it is true. They were doing their duty. They had families to feed. They had only this job, and therefore they are true to their job. So that is called banality of evil. This could happen even in India in the scenarios like in the teaching field and in the hospitals especially when people are too rude, when people one hospital scenario that even you find in the movies is like they will have the dead person or almost dead person in the ICU room, and they will try to get lakhs and lakhs money from the patient's caretakers, telling that the patient is alive, we will make him alive, we will bring him back to life, this and that. Now, all the doctors know that this is a scam, but they do it anyway because their higher officials wanted them to do. Only if you do this, you will be given a job, then no other go, I have to do that. You understand how the whole cycle changes? This is exactly called banality of evil. The next idea, when that is connected with power, is jouissance. Jouissance is an idea from Zizek. Now, he says that it is not just a work. It is not just about punishing these people. It is not about the enormous amount of power being given to you. But the more importantly, there are few people who are capable of enjoying the pain of others. Because simply, if I have to put that in a word, you call them as sadist. Sadist is a person who feel happy in the pain of others. The same happens here. But for Joyce's, I like to give you one example from the memoir. Yesterday, I was telling you about this memoir. I was a doctor in Auschwitz, right? There is this person, one German Nazi. She's 19-year-old, a young, beautiful girl, and she becomes the leader, and she gets into powerful position because of her cruel nature. By nature itself, she is very cruel. She is capable of beating people. She is capable of punishing and putting people to death. Therefore, easily she got into the higher post. One point. Point number two, she is also a very moral woman. So she had affairs with many of the higher Nazi officials. That is also one reason. Because now she is in the high position and now she is in Auschwitz and every woman is afraid of this lady. Okay? Because she has a whip in her hand with a club at the end. And her pastime or her favorite pastime, I would say, most of the time, it's more like a hobby for this girl. She used to have her whip in her hand and she used to beat young ladies. And whenever she comes across beautiful women, though they are, see, when you enter, you have this normal physique, right? Only later on, you become only the skin and the bones. So when she come across such beautiful girls in the beginning, she will ask them to remove their dress, and after making them naked, she will use her whip and she will beat their breast. That way, their breast will start bleeding. Then what happens now? The wounds are so much that this person is supposed to go to the hospital. And inside the camp, they don't have any hospital. They have something called infirmary, where all those Jewish doctors will be working. All these Jewish prisoners, you have doctors also, right? So one or two doctors will be taken into these camps as doctors for these Jewish prisoners. Now, these Jewish doctors should help these girls with breast wounds to recover. Sometimes the tear was so deep that the tear needs stitches. So now what happens? They don't have anesthesia and all. So without any painkiller, without any way to ease their pain, the whole process of stitching or cleaning the wound will happen. It's a very painful process. Now, imagine how fragile a girl's body is, especially when it comes to her breast. No, operating on breast or stitching on the breast or cleaning the wounds without any medication is quite painful. And whenever this process, this medicinal help is given to those women, this lady will come there. She is also called the angel of death. One doctor is called angel of death. She is called the angel from hell, I believe. So now what happens? She comes here and she will enjoy the pain, the cry, and all of that suffering of that woman. She will sit there and she will enjoy. And if the Jewish doctor failed to call the Nazi soldier, she will be very angry. Whenever there is a patient with breast wound with a woman with such wounds, immediately the doctor must call this Nazi soldier so that she can enjoy the suffering. So it was like that. You understand? So now this joy that somebody receives from the pain of another person is joyfulness. Now all of these are few theories that you could use when it comes to Holocaust literature. So these are the memoirs. Now, whatever examples, stories I'm going to give you, probably I'll take from one of these. And all of these are easily available as PDF forms. If you want to read them, you can very well read them. All of them are very short. I Was a Doctor in Auschwitz runs around 120 pages, Spy Chimney around 200 pages, and nothing more than 200 pages. You can read it really soon. So these are the memoirs you can read. Okay. Now, I Was a Doctor in Auschwitz is from Gisela Pearl. I am just giving you short introduction. Okay. In this, she is a doctor. She is a doctor, and after coming into the camp, into the concentration camp, the doctors asked the Jewish people to raise their hands. Whoever practiced medicine outside Holocaust were asked to raise their hands. Gisela Pearl raised her hand, and she became one important doctor in Auschwitz. So Auschwitz is the main place where all the horrible events took place. So she is the doctor there. And when you read Gisela Pearl's life, it was very, very inspiring. It was inspiring in the sense, you see, we come across difficulties, and nobody can say that what I suffered is very much greater than what you suffered. It is not fine, because the pain that you had cannot be measured with mine. But the pain that we all had can be measured with this memoirs, or at least these memoirs. So when you read Gisela Pearl, she has used simple words and she has explained everything in detail. Like, if you read this, you will understand how every woman suffered inside Holocaust. So that is how she has written the whole memoirs. And I'll also bring a lot of examples from her in the upcoming slides. And then Five Chimneys from Olga Lengel. She is also a doctor. She married a physician and she was learning, she was practicing medicine under him. And now she also comes here and she also joins Gisela Pearl. Mm, but Gisela Pearl didn't give a very open statement of having Olga Lengel in her infirmary. But when you see the timeline, you will understand that both Gisela Pearl and Olga Lengel, they both served the Jewish people in the same time, almost in the same time. Now the five chimneys represent the gas chambers. You know the saddest part? Nobody knows what happened to the children or the old people. Because when they were separated, the promise that was given is, see, I have a 2 year old son, and if somebody is going to snatch my 2 year old, I'll not allow that, right? So the promise that they gave the mother is, I am taking your son or daughter to a better place because you are going to work hard here. If you work hard here, we will give better food for those people. If you're going to have bread and butter here, they will have bread and butter thrice. If you're going to have only one time, they will have thrice. Now look at the promise. If I have a son and if somebody is going to promise no 3 times food for my son, then I can work like hell so that my son can no eat well. So that promise was so mesmerizing that these people sent all the young children and all the old people to the unknown place. Nobody knew where these people were taken. But if you realize, these people, only in a very later part of the time, they all realized that all those people were taken immediately to the gas chambers. They are just thrust into the gas chamber and burnt right away. And when it was burning, they see when the flesh is burning, you have light, sweet smelling like that. And when the smoke was everywhere, say five chimneys and around in one place, everybody questioned what is happening, what is happening. And then the answer that was given by the Nazis is again quite shocking because they said they are having a bakery. Nobody knows that they were baking human bodies. So they said, okay, it's a bakery and the bakery is working all the time. So you understand how things happen around. Now, Olga Lengel also, like Gisela Pearl, she talks about the survival of women. But what is more important, what is more beautiful in Olga Lengel's book is she also explains all the medical experiments that was carried out. See, one evidence that I could give is there were you always have sick people because of the condition, because of the hygienic condition, because of the because of the improper sanitization. There were always fashions. They were malnourished, right? And they don't have proper food. They work hard. So you have enough number of dead people and enough number of patients. So one fine day, there is this person called Joseph Mengele. Joseph Mengele is a Nazi doctor who worked with the twins and the dwarfs. Now, he is no kind of mad person. At least personally, I always think of him as a mad person because he comes up with stupid medical ideas, stupid experiments. One such experiment is he took he just came into the hospital. He just came into the infirmary and he called out 50 people who were really sick. He took those 50 people and he just cast them on the ground. Now, all the 50, all the 50 people, without any jest, they were tossed into the ground, and the experiment is very simple. Now, this man wanted to know how long these sick people can survive sunlight without water. Now, what are you going to do with such an experiment? The result, even though you get a result, what are you going to do with the result anyway? Because nobody is going to throw that many number of people into the sunlight without food and water, unless it is another Holocaust happening. So that was beautifully, captured in Olga Lengel's memoir. She talks about many such memoirs, like, and then the one time there were women who were taken to the experiments where, all those women were uh, injected TB virus. They just injected anything that could bring them TB, and they wanted to say all those people are healthy people. Healthy people in the sense they are only malnourished. They don't have any disease. Now this man, he is injecting this TB, tuberculosis, or any other cancer cells. Everything he injects on these 50 women, and he conducted his experiment. So all the experiments that conducted inside them were, most of them were very stupid in nature, only because you have Jewish bodies for free. Nobody is going to question. That's why he is finding it very easy. So that is Five Chimneys. And then Crimes of Hope. Triumph of Hope is also a beautiful memoir. I personally like I was a doctor of and Five Chimney for the way they narrated the painful history of Holocaust. And why I love the Triumph of Hope is that she's very hopeful right from the beginning. She always encouraged people around her. She was even capable of stealing bread and things for her friends. And the whole life, she also had all pathetic problems. She was also beaten to death. In fact, you know what happened with Ruth Elias? She got pregnant. In the beginning, when she was in the ghetto, she had a quick marriage with a person, and then she was pregnant now. After becoming pregnant, the one who married her left her. So now she is in the camp, but then she want to hide her pregnancy. She doesn't want to end her pregnancy. Therefore, she continued having the baby. You know, one good thing about Holocaust, since they all become lean and they all are malnourished, most of the time their bellies got swollen. So you couldn't find who is pregnant and who is not. So she hid her pregnancy for throughout the pregnant period. And finally, somehow people found out that she is pregnant. And again, false promises of being given good care and good food for her and for her child, she was taken to the hospital. And there she gave birth to a girl, I believe. Then what happens? This Nazi doctor, Joseph Mengele, he comes in and he says he orders the nurses to bind her breast, which means to roll cloth around her breast so that she cannot feed the child. And the child was, allowed not to take any food or any form of water. And now the experiment is, now Joseph Mengele want to know, check how long this child can survive without food. And the child survived almost 10 days because all the nurses took pity on the child. Therefore, they bring water and they try to give water whenever the Nazi doctor is not there. So they give some water to the child, and that way the child survived for 10 days. And after 10 days, they are afraid now because if the child is alive, then the child must be given to this girl. So in some cases, mostly the child and the mother could be sent out to the gas chamber because the child is alive and that might upset the doctor. You know what happens? The doctors decided to kill the child. Though the child is alive, they killed the child because of if this small baby loses its life, probably the mother could have her life. The same happened. The doctor came in. The doctor found that the baby is dead, but the doctor found that the mother is alive and she is also still healthy, capable of working. Therefore, the mother was taken to work again. And she comes out. She marries the person she loved, and she had a happy life after Holocaust. So that is Triumph of Hope. And Thanks to My Mother is also very, very moving uh, story, moving memoir written by the daughter. Why this is so important? Because this shows the power of mother. This I always believe. It is not because I am a woman or I am a mother. It's not that. But the true love or the unconditional love that someone can show you, the first person is your mother. Today, I agree. Today, when you open the TV, you have news like mother killing her own child. You have news is like that. Only God should bless those mothers. I'm telling you, those with no human mind and human art will never do that. So, the story of thanks to my mother is there is this mother, and the mother has one child, and she also has a stepdaughter, and no, they are taking them to the ghetto. Now, all the small children, as I told you earlier, they are taken to the gas chambers immediately. Her stepdaughter was bit height. She's say 12 to 13 years old. She's bit height. Therefore, she escaped. She was taken for work. Now, her child is very small, and therefore she is afraid of how to leave. She also is 10 or 11 years old, but then she is very short. So, in her bag, when she is getting into the ghetto, inside her bag, she put her child and she carried the bag with her. As if she's taking only the bag with her. That way, she went into the camp. She went into the ghetto. And inside the ghetto, what she did, she got a bra for her young child who was not even developing her breast. She just had some clothes inside the bra, and she made her child wear the bra so that she will look like a girl, with proper features. And to make her height, she no had a around her scarf around her head so that she will look bit height. And that way, this child survived Holocaust. And both the mother and the daughter were together. Somehow, they mismatched their names. They never told people that they are mother and daughter. And inside the camp, the daughter was never allowed to call her mother as mother. Instead, she called her own mother with her name. Her name starts with Raja something, and she used to call her mother as Raja. And she always feels bad that she couldn't call her mother a mother. They also survived Holocaust. Now, all of these are some beautiful things that you can see from Holocaust, and you can pacify yourself. So you will have a lot of examples from all of these memoirs. Now we are getting into our theoretical part. What is resistance? Resistance or resistance theory is, maybe political theory that explores how an individual or a group can resist the established authority. What is the established authority here inside Holocaust? It's the Nazis. And if thousands and thousands of people are dying every day, I don't think they have any resistance inside the camp. That's what I thought. But only when you read the theory, you will understand it in a much better way. But before getting into the theory, I'm just trying to tell you where you can use this resistance theory. You can see in colonial, post-colonial literature, you can see the colonial resistance, how we resisted the Britishers. You can see that. And what we are seeing currently, we are seeing the racial resistance. Racial resistance theory is how you resist this theoretical idea of race, that one is superior and the other one is inferior. And in gender also, we can see this resistance. That is why today you have your feminism. We stand against the dominance of the male society. We stand against the patriarchy. That is what you can find in the gender studies. And then class struggle. That is this high class and low class, and that power struggle can be analyzed. And linguistic resistance is again, currently even in India, you could use this linguistic resistance. One resistance that you could find is for this language, English. Yeah. uh, I'm not sure about what is happening in the north, but in the south, and most of the times when we insist on English medium schools, they don't like it. Most of the politicians they want it in the Tamil medium only because they think that Tamil is the most important because it is our mother tongue. But English is necessary because English has become a global language. And then there are other linguistic forces that you can see around the world. So this forceful implication of language and how you resist it. That is your linguistic resistance. And then comes your eco-resistance. Eco-resistance is in the eco-criticism, where climatic change has happening, and then you cut down trees, and erosion is happening, pollution is happening. Amidst all this, how our nature mother is still holding us safe. You can work on that. And then queer resistance. Queer resistance is again the currently everybody talks about it because there are one group who are against this queer people, and therefore they have to fight against this. The queer people they try to fight against the established prejudice. So that is your queer resistance. So you can apply this resistance theory anywhere. I'm just giving you a few area where it can be used. Now we will see some theories and some theorists for our resistance. Now Antonio Gramsci is known for his hegemony. You remember your state apparatus, what was coined by him? Hegemony is nothing but in the beginning itself, culturally or somehow it is written that one group is higher and the one group is lower. In India, we have our caste system where the first you have the, I believe, the kings and the royal people, and then you have the soldiers, and then you have the people who are capable of doing the prayers and things like that, and then finally you have the farmers or the untouchables. This division we have here. Why this division? We know if you read your cultural text, maybe the interpretation would be different. But then on the other hand, if you see, it also connects you with the money, with the power. The kings and the loyal people, they are very powerful in nature. They have all the money. And if you go to the last people, the Kshatriyas, or they are called, I believe, today they are called the Dalits. If you go to them, they don't have the power, they don't have the money. At least I'm talking about the then period when the cultural setup was written. So this hegemony comes with power. The power comes with class, money, the money struggle, the class struggle is what he is trying to talk about. So one thing is Anthony Chomsky, you can use him for your paper. And we discussed power and domination earlier, where if you have power, you then start dominating. So the idea comes from there. And then it's subaltern studies. You must have read Can the Subaltern Speak from Gayatri Spivak, where she says the subalterns are never allowed to speak because they don't have the space for them to open up. And even if they are trying to open up, you will have somebody else who are trying to represent. And then Gayatri Spivak says it is enough of you to represent those people. Let them represent themselves. You understand? So that is subaltern studies, which we could use in your post-colonial literature. And then these two, the last two are the ideas that I thought we could use this for our Holocaust. James Scott's everyday form of resistance. How is it possible to resist every day? The very smallest little thing that you do every day matters. Now, say for example, if you say yes for one thing, now remember, go back to your memory if you can. Think how this Aadhaar card came into existence. Aadhaar card came into existence because we all we had in the beginning we were reluctant to follow certain things, and then we were okay. We all just nodded our head and we all did whatever the government said. That is the first point where we neglected resisting. Then what happens? Aadhaar card become mandatory wherever you go. Even if you go for a interview in India, anywhere in India, the first thing they ask you is your Aadhaar card xerox. So you, and then think of your demonetization. What happened at that point of time? They said, no, over a night, they said that 1,000 rupees note and 500 rupees note are not going to, no, be in use. And we all said, okay. We all were like, okay. We were no standing in queues in all the banks, in ATMs. So you understand, if you fail to resist the smallest, then you will have the huge result to witness. So resisting is this. You may think this is just a simple thing, let it go. But if you let go of things, all the little things like that, then we might suffer in the future. So James Scott says everyday form of resistance. So every day, even the smallest form of resistance will, reflect in the result. And then the concept of spiritual resistance. This is again something that is very, inspiring from all the memoirs that I was talking to you so far. You see, in the history, I'm not talking about Holocaust right now. In the history, all these Jewish people are very spiritual. They are supposed to pray at least 3 times a day. They are supposed to read the Torah. They had enough periods, time scheduled for them to fast and pray. So they are people of no spirituality. And inside Holocaust, you are not supposed to do any of that. You are not supposed to wear your prayer shawl. You are not supposed to have your spiritual book. And if they find you praying, they will throw you out. But you can fast because no, that cannot be stopped. And if you fast and you don't work, you will be beaten to death. Now, what happens, especially during the festival times when these Jewish people are supposed to fast, they give extra food or good food like meat and things like that. So that these Jewish people will break their fasting. And the record so far, whatever I have read, every people they strongly stood for that spirituality. Though the soup was so tasty, so though the aroma of the soup was so good, they never broke that fasting. They all fasted, and that way they had their spiritual resistance. And then comes your resilience. Now, what is resilience? It is nothing but the ability to bounce back. The ability to bounce back to normalcy. See, if you have failed once, it is okay. You try again. And if you fail again, at that point, most of us, we think, okay, this is all our life is. Let us stop this and let us take our life the way. Let us call ourselves a failure. We think of ourselves like that. But these, now imagine you being in concentration camp and you are given only this food. Probably most of us could have committed suicide because we are incapable of surviving such horror. But these women, they survived it. They also helped other women to survive it. And along with that, they also fought back. So that is resistance. That is resilience. So even though the condition is bad, you still come out of it and you strive to become the best person in the face of adversity. Even though you're facing trauma and stress, you try to be the best version of yourself with resilience. And one beautiful theorist is Anne Marston, where she talks about ordinary, not extraordinary. So, what is resilience? Resilience is like the news you have in TVs. Every day, say almost recent times, I saw a lot of news where no, Otto Walla's son becoming an IAS officer, and then no, a sweeper's daughter becoming an IAS officer. Is that resilience? No. The ordinary things is resilient, they say. The ordinary things. The ordinary thing is magic. We will see all of this in the next class since we are running out of time. And then along with this, we will also see protective factors. One is internal. Internally, you have the hope. Internally, you believe that something good can happen. Is one thing. The second thing is external. What you get, how you get help from the external, or what helps you from outside is external. So we will see in the upcoming slides. I have no lot of evidence from the memoirs that I discussed earlier. Maybe in the next class we will see how they resisted and how they are very resilient in nature in the situations they faced. We will see that in the next class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Yes, if you have any questions, you can post it.
Annie, just a minute. Students, please keep posting questions, okay? Our principal, sir, he is going to join us.
Meanwhile, the students kindly post your questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Annie. It was really wonderful that you have talked about memoirs and you have talked about theories, resilience theory and all. Okay. Welcome, sir.
Sir, welcome. It's my pleasure to offer a special welcome to our respected principal, Sir Professor Satya Gopal. Your visionary leadership, guidance, and unwavering support have been the driving force behind this workshop. Your motivation and encouragement have enabled our college and department to flourish. We are deeply grateful for your inspiring leadership. Sir, I humbly request your blessings for the success of this workshop or for your remarks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you for the appreciation. First of all, congratulations to Department of English for organizing this beautiful and informative workshop about Holocaust literature. I think this is the most interesting and inspiring workshop after some times. I observed this workshop that this workshop to be a very informative, and in this occasion I would like to express my view about Holocaust and its psychological impact. Just the Holocaust was the most traumatic man-made event in European history. And in the former Czechoslovakia, the entire Jewish population suffered from this large-scale genocide, which lasted from, I think, 1938 to 1945. And it started with social and professional exclusion, humiliation and suppression of basic rights, followed by deportation of a concentration camp, forced labor and exposure to horrific atrophy. And there are various studies. I studied some part concerned with this topic. So they explained about traumatic stress is manifested by changes in brain structure. There are some parts of brain such as hippocampus and amygdala, cingulate gyrus, prefrontal cortex and insular cortex. All are often mentioned as structured and that are vulnerable to the effect of stress. So the Holocaust had many mental health effects on survivors and their children, including post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Many Holocaust survivors have PTSD and other emotional disorder such as depression, anxiety, and neurobiological changes. Neurobiological changes means lifelong psychological and neurobiological changes, including reduce the gray matter in several areas of the brain. Epigenetic changes are also included. Epigenetic changes means caused by exposure to trauma, can be passed on the children born after the event. Social maladjustment is important part. Holocaust survivors experience various forms of social maladjustment. Suicidal tendencies is also found. Holocaust survivors have an increased risk of suicide. Schizophrenia, this is the mental disorder. Schizophrenia is psychotic disorder characterized by there are various symptoms concerned with delusion, hallucination, and other parts. The Holocaust survivors have an increased risk of chronic schizophrenia, paranoia. They have various types of hallucination, such as auditory hallucination or visionary hallucination. And aging is also factor. Aging can make it more difficult for survivors to adapt to the challenges of life. As people age, they may reminisce about their past experiences, which can trigger or intensify the symptoms of PTSD. Survivors also faced many other challenges, including social changes, such as I think withdrawal symptoms, withdrawal from children, or difficult trusting others. Survivors may have difficulty trusting others due to lack of witness or violence and destruction of interpersonal relationship and dysfunctional behavior. Survivors may exhibit dysfunctional behavior such as anxiety, depression, and paranoia. Occupational maladjustment is also part. Means survivors may have less successful occupational careers. So, in this regarding this workshop, you have selected appropriate topic concerned with Holocaust literature, because literature can have a significant impact on mental health and well-being, and can help people cope with, understand their emotion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We extend our heartfelt gratitude for skillfully connecting the theme of this workshop with psychological dimensions. Your insight on how various mental health challenges such as trauma, post traumatic disorder, and other psychological impacts that affected both the victims, the survivors, even at times to the oppressors. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable time and valuable insight on behalf of Department of English. We want to thank you a lot. Thank you, sir. So over to Annie, ma'am. Annie, ma'am,
Yes,
some
ma'am. Thank you.
questions.
Um, Thank you, dear principal, for your beautiful introduction on Holocaust. Okay, I think there is one question: how certain narratives of success maintain racial inequality? See, there are certain narratives that are intentionally written. They have this intention of bringing such inequalities, bringing such racial ideas. That is why you have such narratives in first place. But today they are handling that in a very different way. Probably because, see, earlier the white was writing against the black, and now the black has also started narrating. So you do not know which narrative is true. So now presently how they are trying to set their narrative is through the media. Now go to your social medias like Instagram or other social mediums. If you find you will have such racial ideologies being put there as dark humors, but they are not pure dark humors. What is dark humor? Why do you need dark humor in first place? If you're going to put somebody down and if you're going to call that as a dark humor, I don't think you don't need such jokes at all. So now the narrative is taking a different medium, calling somebody as, do you have certain names? Like one easy thing that I remember now is this calling old people as, boomers. You do not know anything, you're a boomer. You're naming, you are tagging someone of something, then that is the narrative. That is the inequality that you're trying to set up. You call people boomer. Why? Why? Because you believe that they are very old people. So that is one example of structuring the narrative. Now you're doing that in a very modern terms. You have modern terms and modern way of doing it. That's all. The difference is that. But even today we have this inequality, this racial discrimination, but in a very lighter tone or with a humorous tone, with colored with certain colors or coated with honey and sugar. You have but the same narratives you have even today.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for yet another enlightening and thought provoking session. We truly appreciate the clarity and depth with which she approached this subject, and we eagerly look forward to further interactions with you in the upcoming sessions. Your vast knowledge of trauma, identity, and survival in Holocaust literature is something we are immensely benefiting from. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to everyone for your active participation and cooperation during today's session. Once again, I express my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers, principals, sir, all participants, professors, and my dear friends for making this session a success. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today and have a wonderful day ahead.